And this is a Fox News alert. The community organizing group ACORN has fired 2 of its employees after they were caught on tape offering advice to a man and a woman posing as a pimp and prostitute on how to skirt tax laws and import young girls from El Salvador for the purpose of child prostitution. Now, this story came to light as a result of an undercover investigation conducted by filmmaker James O'Keefe. Now, Mr. O'Keefe and a colleague posed as a pimp and prostitute trying to get an underage prostitution ring off the ground. They then solicited the help of ACORN's Baltimore office to get their, quote, business in order. Let's take a look.
The type of business or service you provide, let me make sure there's a code for it, okay?
A code for prostitution?
Well, yeah, because I have to have a name and a code number.
Well, I don't know if there's going to be a code.
But I'm going to look in there. I'm going to get my list.
Okay.
She's going to say she's good.
And then we could get the right tax code.
Yes.
So that's wonderful.
Your business is a performing artist.
A performing artist.
But you are. Okay? So you're not lying.
That's kind of boosting my ego.
But you're a performing artist.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay? So stop saying plastic.
Got it.
Childhood prostitution, performing arts. Now, ACORN may get millions of your tax dollars, but they're happy to show this prostitute how to cheat the IRS. Now, take a look at ACORN's tax specialist. Show her all the things that she can write off on her taxes.
You have to have a certain clothing. Okay, so we can write that off. You have to have a certain grooming. Okay, that can be written off. Do you get like little gifts or like some kind of incentive or something to your clients or whatever? You can write stuff like that.
I mean,
Condoms. I mean, how many condoms did you buy last month?
No.
You don't travel.
They travel to her.
Yeah,
So you don't go nowhere, right? Okay. So yeah, we could probably write off. You made $9,000. We can write off at probably at least $8,000.
oh wow.
Okay.
Yes, you heard that right. The tax specialist calculates that the prostitute can write off almost all of her income, and later learned that the same employee encouraged her to claim a $9,600 salary as opposed to $96,000. But that's not all. Here's O'Keefe and his companion describing their plan to bring underage illegal immigrants from El Salvador into their prostitution ring. Unbelievable.
There's 13 girls from El Salvador that I've kind of gotten wind on the street that are going to be coming to town, and I've let the right people know that I'm interested in taking care of them and getting them used to the area.
And they're very young, and we don't want to put them on the books.
They're kind of dependent.
They're from El Salvador.
Okay.
There's like 13 of them.
Okay.
And they're probably going to move into the house
Just
that we get.
for a year or 2 to get them on their feet.
Just to get them on the feet so they can do this type of thing.
So you want to put, okay, why do y'all even want to do taxes? Oh, because of the house.
Because we need the house, and everyone else has been discriminatory. But the point is that there's going to be 13 El Salvadorian girls coming into this house. We don't want that to cause any trouble.
These are young teenage kids, and ACORN has no problem with that. Their employees just happy to help O'Keefe hide the girls from the IRS. Remember, they get taxpayer dollars. Let's take a look.
Right now, you don't have employees, but when the girls come, they're really not going to be employees because you're not going to issue them W-2s at the end of the year.
I don't even
They're
know.
under 16.
Yeah.
So you don't worry about that. But on the other part of the return, you can use them as a dependent.
So
Okay.
You can use them as a dependent because they live in your house, especially if they're under 16.
Okay.
You can say they live in the boat, whatever, and you're taking care of them.
Yeah.
So you can use them as a dependent.
What if they're making money because they're performing tricks too?
But if they're making money and they're underage, you shouldn't be letting nobody know anyway.
Unbelievable. Now, just hours ago, ACORN fired the officials seen on those videos. But will this solve the problem? And joining me now to discuss this incredible story, the publisher, the editor-in-chief of BigGovernment.com, Andrew Breitbart and Michael Flynn. Guys, welcome to the program.
Well, thanks a lot, John.
Hey, thanks for...
All right, guys, look, we know so much about ACORN, and we know they get taxpayer dollars. Andrew, I'm going to start with you, because I first discussed this with you a while back as this was beginning to unfold. Why don't you explain how you got involved in this, how they decided to do this, how this happened, and exactly what was said so our audience understands completely?
Well, first of all, congratulations to 60 Minutes and CBS for having the guts to take on ACORN. Just kidding. It was two intrepid a 25-year-old by the name of James O'Keefe and Hannah Giles. She wants to be a journalist, and I think James is already well on his way to being one of the great journalists. What did he know about ACORN that he could walk through the doors of the Baltimore ACORN that he would find this? Well, anyway, he went into ACORN thinking that there was going to be something like this, and he certainly found it. He positioned himself, as you see, as a pimp, and she was a prostitute, and every step of the way these people participated and upped the ante. And I think I'm just here to tell you that James O'Keefe and Hannah Giles are heroes for doing this, because we all knew that this is what happens at ACORN to a degree.
All right, Michael, I want to go to you. Now, we're going to get into the issues, the criminal issues that could be in play here in just a few minutes. You know, criminal facilitation. Our own Judge Napolitano says there may be as many as 8 crimes potentially involved here. But I want you to explain the part about this is a child prostitution ring that they're talking about, and this person say, oh, you could just say, you know, they're performance artists, you know, and then advising them, you know, the things that they could write off, you know, dodge their taxes. When ACORN itself is a group, don't they get money from the U.S. Treasury?
They get millions of dollars from the U.S. Treasury. I mean, Sean, you can't make this up. I mean, not only are they facilitating and helping the pimp and the prostitute set up a child prostitution ring, they're also telling them that they can take a child tax credit for the underage prostitutes. Yeah. You know, it really blows you. And I really think, I mean, to build on what Andrew said about them being heroes, I mean, I really think ACORN owes a big apology to Mr. O'Keefe. This morning, they put out a statement, you know, charging him with gotcha journalism, said he was committing defamation, and then a few hours later, apparently doing their own investigation, realizing there was truth to what Mr. O'Keefe reported, they fired these employees. So they definitely owe Mr. O'Keefe an apology and also a thank you for rooting out these employees.
Well, but you know, the level of corruption is the question we've got to get to here, and the criminality, and whether or not taxpayer dollars should go to a group with a whole series of investigations and questionable tactics. I want to go back, Andrew, though, to something that you said. We had a media that ignored Bill Ayers and Bernardine Dorn and Reverend Wright and Flager. We had a mainstream media that, you know, ignored Jones. We have Eric Holdren. We have Cass Sunstein. We have a lot of radicals surrounding this president. But he was once the lawyer for them. Now, I know they need a lawyer, but you know, does this connect back to the President of the United States in your mind?
I'm not going to get into how this relates to the president, but I think you touched on the most important theme here. This weekend we're going into tea parties. Tea parties first started on tax day. Then the town hall meetings started happening over the enlargement of government and the fact that the stimulus wasn't working and they didn't like the health care ideas. What we're seeing here, though, and what I think you're going to see Saturday at tea parties, is more of an outrage against the mainstream media. They didn't vet this president, and they're not vetting him or the people who are running this government and, quite frankly, taking it over.
Because we're running out of time. But remember, he was their lawyer. And when you put all of the pieces together and all of the people around him that have these radical, you know, associations, ties, there's so many. And the level is so extreme, and the media doesn't touch it. So there are two parts of that story, right?
Well, yes, and Van Jones was a community organizer himself, and so now ACORN is the primary community organizing organization, and Barack Obama won the presidency because he didn't go to corporate law. He went to go help Mrs. McGillicuddy eat applesauce because he was this benevolent community organizer. Now we understand what a community organizer is, period.
All right, guys, good.